The shelter smelled faintly of disinfectant and winter coats. Children's laughter bounced off the high ceilings, but it sounded fragile, like it could shatter if anyone spoke too loudly. My daughter clung to my hand, small and warm, her eyes darting between strangers who smiled politely but cautiously. I felt the oddest mixture of relief and disbelief, relief that we had a roof for the night, disbelief that this had become our reality. I hadn't thought about Hawthorne Street for years. It had been a name mentioned in passing, a house I never claimed, a past I never examined. I knew my family had resources, inherited properties, and assumptions, but a house, not ours, not mine. I had no idea. Then she appeared. My grandmother, unmistakable even at a distance, the same measured gait, the small tilt of her head, the quiet authority that had always silenced a room. She stopped mid-step when she saw us. Her eyes searched my face as if she were trying to reconcile memory with an impossible truth. "Why aren't you living in your house on Hawthorne Street?" she asked, but her voice calm, almost casual, but with that undercurrent of scrutiny I had always felt. I blinked, and for a moment, words failed me. "What house?" I said finally, my voice steadier than I felt. She said nothing further. She just watched, and in that silence, I could feel her understanding more than her judgment. My daughter squeezed my hand, and I realized we had been standing there longer than I had noticed, waiting for something that neither of us could define yet. 3 days later, I arrived at a family event, the kind of gathering that was supposed to feel warm and unifying. I had walked in slowly, deliberately, carrying nothing more than a small envelope in my coat pocket. Inside was a letter, official confirmation of Hawthorne Street, in my name. The room was filled with the familiar din of polite chatter and laughter. My parents were near the far corner, faces bright but slightly strained, the kind of expressions that give away effort at composure. When our eyes met, I saw a flicker, pale confusion, maybe fear. I did not rush to them. I did not announce anything. I walked through the crowd, smiled faintly at those who recognized me, and then approached the table where the letter quietly waited. I left it there. My presence alone was a statement. They did not ask, did not protest. The room held a breathless pause. Conversations that had been casual faltered, and in the silence, a subtle shift occurred. Power, once assumed by proximity and family hierarchy, moved quietly but undeniably. I felt a strange calm as I watched them. The panic was small, understated, an eyebrow raised, a hand pressed to a mouth, a pause too long before a sip of wine. No one yelled, no one demanded explanation. The authority was now concrete and visible, but earned and restrained. It existed in the letter, in the recognition of the truth, and in the quiet knowledge that I could claim my place without theatrics. We spoke minimally, exchanged polite phrases that were carefully neutral, measured. I left room for them to reconcile what had happened, for the consequences of secrecy and assumption to settle without me pressing further. My daughter tugged at my sleeve, oblivious to the weight of the moment, and I smiled. She was safe, present, and at the center of my focus. I walked away from the table and let the gathering continue without me. Conversations resumed slowly, the rhythm of polite chaos attempting to reassert itself, but underneath, the air had changed. Dignity and control had returned to me, not loudly, not vindictively, just firmly, like a soft but unyielding tide reshaping a shore. Later, I thought about the days at the shelter, the silent confusion of my daughter, the hesitation in my grandmother's eyes. There was no triumph, no celebration, only recognition, quiet and deliberate. The future was uncertain, relationships delicate, but I felt the first real measure of security I had in years. And in that security, I found an unexpected relief. The truth had shifted the balance without shattering anyone, and yet it had shifted undeniably. I understood, finally, the power of silence, timing, and the calm presentation of fact. The Hawthorne Street house was ours. That fact alone altered everything, though nothing would ever be exactly the same again. I left the event quietly, my daughter skipping at my side, and for the first time in a long while, I let myself feel something like peace. The room behind us remained tense with unspoken realization, a tableau of subtle panic and contemplation. I did not look back. There was no need. The consequence had been delivered, clear and unmistakable, without a word more.